Hey Nathan, here's something interesting.
Okay.
Back in 2002, do you remember what this car was called?
2002?
Yeah.
It was the Altima. No, it was the Stanza
Altima.
and then it became the Altima.
Yeah, that's right. But back then, right, this car got 20 miles to the gallon in the city, 27 on the highway, and 23 combined. Now it gets 27 miles to the gallon in the city, 39 on the highway, and 31 combined. That's according to the EPA.
Now that is pretty damn impressive considering this is a heavier vehicle.
Bigger
and
vehicle.
And a bigger vehicle, and it has a larger engine, a larger displacement engine.
Well, there are kind of a few things that are exceptional about this. First and foremost, it's actually bigger than a Maxima. Which is crazy.
The interior space and trunk space on this vehicle is larger than a Maxima, which is crazy. And it's been that way for a little while. Even last generation's was bigger.
Yeah, and of course, this is their volume leader. They sell about 350,000 units a year. So just behind Camry and Accord, right?
Yeah.
And so they're not going to mess with it very much. The reason we're in the blue one, what'd you call it? What was it called? Do you remember? Stingray
Blue.
Blue?
No, it was
Pearl?
No, Blue Pearl.
Blue Pearl Metallic. Blue Pearl.
Blue Pearl. No, I think it was just Blue Pearl.
Anyway, it's a cool color.
Yeah, it's cool.
and all the SRs are in this kind of blue pearl metallic color. And they say that, unfortunately, it doesn't have any additional horsepower, but it does have better steering, new suspension, and new tires, making it sportier. So the question, Nathan, when this red light turns green is it true?
Well, first of all, off the line, it's not too bad. It's got a little bit of punch.
It's still a CVT, dude.
It's a CVT. But that was because my foot was into the floor. Now, what they've said, and I believe them because it's the similar transmission that's on the Maxima.
Yeah, it's a third generation Step D.
Right, and so that Step, basically think of it as having, well, basically fake gears. What it does is it'll let off a little bit on the RPMs as you're driving to make it feel like you're driving an automatic transmission. It's subtle, but for those of you who can really feel it in the seat of your pants, you're going to say, oh, okay, it's like driving an automatic transmission. So they did all this work with CVT to come back around and make something that feels like an automatic transmission.
So this is really inside baseball for all you Nissan lovers, but the Step D, the second generation, the difference between this one and the second gen is, in the second generation, when you floored it, it would still give you that CVT whine, and it would only shift in the upper end, right?
Yeah.
So go, and then, right? Now, even if you floor it gently, it should give you that automatic-like acceleration with the G's shifting from, pushing you back in the seat to not pushing you back in the seat somewhat. That's all well and good. It's still a CVT.
Yeah. Now, there are a couple interesting components to this car that they've added that I really like, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to play with those. This is just a driving impression, really. But they have a system that shoots radar ahead. Now, you know that most cars that have that system, if a car in front of you hits the brakes, your vehicle will hit the brakes automatically if you screw up and forget.
Yeah, sure.
But this one will actually go one car ahead. It actually shoots radar from underneath and on the sides to measure what's going on with the car in front of the car that you're behind.
So we have a Tesla in front of us, right?
Right, if there's someone in front of him and he slammed on the brakes, this vehicle should be able to figure that out and give you a warning and then, well, help you hit the brakes. And that is very interesting. That is predictive, and that's actually what it's known as, predictive braking.
Predictive forward collision, that's what they call it.
Zazamundo.
Forward emergency brake, blind spot warning, and rear collision cross traffic alert.
Yep.
Those are just some of the safety features that have worked their way down from the more expensive Maxima to this little bit less expensive Altima. There's also a bunch of other kind of they call it convenience features. Easy tire fill. Basically, it dings the horn
when you're filling up the tire when it tells you you're at the correct pressure.
Yeah, intelligent cruise control.
basically what I was talking about. On top of that, it's able to measure the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you until so you can stick on the vehicle in front of you.
Yeah, and a lot of this is marketing speak, right? So
it is.
This is a typical Nissan Connect with Siri eyes free.
Yeah, okay, so that whole thing is that you're able to use Siri, if you have Siri, on your phone through the car's system. So you can talk to the car, then if you hold the button down a little bit longer, you'll be talking to Siri through your phone to get information and have things done.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically. Siri. Yeah, Siri.
Siri.
So just for all you Nissan aficionados out there, the difference between the regular Altima and the SR, which we're in, is a sport tuned suspension, larger front stabilizer bars.
Front and rear.
Yeah. First time Colin shifted paddle shifters, the first time on a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, I mean, it's a CVT, so shifting well, here, let me give you an example. Okay, I just hit it, now I'm up to 3,000 from 2,000 RPM, and it's holding it there. There's one thing it's good for and one thing only. When you're going through corners, it's really nice to be at the higher end of the RPM range when you're pulling out of it, so you're in the meat of your torque and power. That's about it. Otherwise, I don't really see a purpose to this thing.
New 18-inch alloy wheels.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, they're nice. And of course the rear deck spoiler. So that's what you get when you get this guy. And basically this guy starts at about $25,000.
Yeah, I really think that for the money, this is where this car shines. It gives you a lot of kit for the money. You get a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a very advanced car for the money. Plus, we're not even talking about a vehicle that has really crappy twisting beam rear suspension. This has a proper independent rear suspension. It has actually pretty decent road feel so far through the steering, which is improved from the last one, which didn't really have any.
Yeah, so they gave it different bushings, different sport calibration. And actually, why don't you put it in DS, in the sport mode, and let's find a canyon and see how it carves canyons.
That sounds great. I'm going to chase down this guy in this 350Z.
Yeah, let's see how this thing really does. You know, if I'm being completely honest, Nathan, it's hard for me to get excited about a sporty car that has a CVT and front-wheel drive. And that's just me. I know, obviously, you guys may feel differently, but I just think a sports car should have either a manual transmission or rear-wheel drive or both.
Dual clutch or some sort of special. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, but they never said it was a sports car. Now, Roman and I both agreed that the Nissan Maxima, the Altima's big brother, is an excellent car. They really, really swung for the fences on that one. And it has a CVT. But the way the engine, which is, over 300 horsepower on that baby, well, compared to this vehicle, I mean, it's night and day. That is a much sportier car, but it's still not a sports car. The bottom line is that if you're going to call something a sports car, you really need to sharpen it. You need to have a transmission that's engaging, or you need to have more power, or you need, what I mean, a mix of them, or rear drive. Yeah, and the way this works, of course, is there are planners who, I bet you they have a big board with all the competitors, right? And this is a very competitive segment, so it's not just the Japanese competitors, but also Fusion, Mazda 6, the Korean Sonata, Altima, and I've driven a lot of those cars recently, and so they kind of have this big chart, and they say, what value do we bring? How do we make our cars sell or outsell the competitors? And I think what Nissan does is they add a lot of basically value to their cars. They're valuing the Koreans now. I feel that in some ways, yeah, and they're also building a much better vehicle in terms of just what you're seeing. I used to absolutely hate Nissan interiors. They, to me, represented the cheapest, laziest interiors out there. Let's not do this one. There's another one coming up. Okay. Trust me. I will trust you. This is your home turf, man. Yeah, this is my home turf. Yeah. And for those of you who are from Southern California, we're not too far away from Neptune's Net, and that'll give you a hint as to where we're going. But this interior, I mean, just feel the door panels. This is one thing I like, having a little bit of squish right here so you can put your elbow up and it doesn't get raw. The controls feel a little bit better. Everything here is a much classier layout. Tiny display. Yeah, it's a tiny display. I agree with you. I mean, that's really small. But other than that, I think that the interior execution is quite nice. They call it some winged blade or whatever, hovering bird, angry stork. So what they've done is they've kind of splashed the interior outward. And you can kind of see it on the trim, but really that's about it. Still, I think it's a nice looking interior. It's not blowing my skirt up, but it's nice. Yeah, it's certainly keeping up with the competition, even though I gotta tell you, I was just in the Kia, and that's probably got to have one of the nicest interiors in this segment, right? They really give you a lot of value. And for instance, that car, you can get heated seats in the back. Yeah. And people notice that kind of stuff. Yeah, really, truly, everybody needs to catch up to the Koreans when it comes to that type of stuff.
Ford.
Nothing. Remember, they changed the muffler around on this to make it quieter.
Yeah.
So it's a much quieter car.
Yeah, but it's a split muffler, but the muffler's split at the rear of the car. It's
No. It's actually longer and larger in almost every dimension.
Right. That I agree, but I'm saying it's not true dual exhaust.
No. God, no. Half these cars, no way. Not even close. No. It looks cool, but it's almost completely unnecessary. It's more of aesthetics than anything else.
All right, guys. So we have just turned right at Pepperdine University, and we are heading into the canyons above Malibu.
Yep.
Which I gotta tell you, Nathan, it's such a cliche up here. Like every video car review I see from SoCal is always here, but
or Mulholland usually. Yeah, everybody has got to go there. But they are wonderful driving roads, and they are beautiful. When they're not all brown from the drought.
Yeah. So the question is, can we tell what Nissan has done to the suspension of this car and the CVT to make it much more sportier? So does it feel sportier? So
far it feels good.
Yeah.
I can't say if it's sporty. I'm gonna punch it in a minute when I can get around this one guy in front of us.
Yeah, it feels like a very big car to be a true sports car. It feels very substantial, and that's the value equation that they're providing, right? They're providing you with a lot of car for your money.
That is absolutely true. In fact, that's how I'd encapsulate this very vehicle, is that you get a lot of car for the money. Because this one is what, about 25?
Yeah, exactly. Starts at 25. You got to add in all the. Look, they say 25, but then there's I think $825 in dealer destination fee, and that's for a base unit which you'll never get. So you need all the.
And he's referring to the SR because the base model is 22.5.
23,
is exactly what it comes in at with 23. So this vehicle, though, first of all, steering is a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what I like about it is that I know what the front wheels are doing to a certain degree.
Yeah.
When the old one, it was just kind of sloppy. Haven't been able to tell much of a difference with ride. Noise is better, and that's because they have laminated glass right here, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they spend a lot of time and effort on reducing the noise, vibration, and harshness. So this has been increased. The padding between the engine compartment and the passenger compartment. It's just a much quieter, much more refined car. You can let him go ahead?
Yeah, I'm gonna let him go ahead so I can get a little bit of
run at it. Yeah. There's nobody behind us.
Let's give it about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's Southern California. There's no place where there's no traffic.
Ain't that the truth? That's why I love being in Colorado.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, here we go.
So I'm in the sport mode, the DS. Foot's all the way down. And CVT typical, goes all the way up to high RPM and then holds it. And we were holding it at 6,500 RPM, a little over 6,800 RPM is red line, I think. But really couldn't tell any real difference between the new and old transmission on that. There are paddle shifters. I really don't want to use them, but here we go.
Try them, yeah. Try the paddle shifters.
So it's holding the gear, and then it's when it gets displeased, if I get too close to red line,
it shifts for you.
It shifts for me.
How about
see this transition is here?
It feels very planet.
Actually, yeah. Ooh. I mean, I ain't going slow.
No, you ain't going slow.
So the body is much more rigid than you would think.
Stiffer bushings.
And that rear end that they've stiffened up like 250%, I kid you not, that's the number, is much, much better. It used to have slop and you would feel a little bit of a lean into the wheel. Now it's much more hunkered down. I'm impressed with the way it handles side to side. Power, but it's overall handling. Yeah, if you get the SR package, you're going to have a much better handling car.
And let's face it, Nathan, people, for the most part, are buying this car as a family go-getter, right? This is going to be a grocery getter, a kid getter, a church goer. But we are in the SR model, so I think it's fair to flog it around these canyons a little bit.
Absolutely, and you know, if you have a little bit of lead in your pencil, you're gonna want to have a little bit of fun with your car, right? So why not have a car you can throw into a corner? And I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. It's beautifully planted.
And no rattles, no squeaks. It's well put together. Everything is solid. It feels
relatively quiet.
Relatively quiet. It feels like you've spent the money on a car that's going to be around for a few years.
Yeah, well done, Nissan. I really like the suspension setup. Now, if you could only take this engine, put a turbocharger on it, and I know you have one, the 1.6, and then put a manual transmission right here, then this car would be so much better.
Yeah, let's make it rear-wheel drive.
Yeah,
let's make it a GTR.
Yeah, well, you know, why? I think I'm being realistic by saying that you could do something like that with the SER version of the Altima, which is coming out never.
Yeah.
But it's still worth dreaming. Because the suspension setup in this is so damn good, tires are very grippy, I say that this deserves more power. Oh, there's a V6, isn't there?
There is a V6.
Is there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 280 horsepower-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is more. You just got to spend more money for it.
But it's still a CVT.
And it's still front-wheel drive.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, let's call this balanced.
Hey guys, if you're interested in more reviews for 2016 vehicles, click on me and we'll bring you right to them because we got a lot.
No, actually, Nathan, when they click on you, it's going to take you to a playlist of cats playing the piano.
Cats playing piano, yeah, and girls in bikinis, I think that gets a lot of clicks too.